and welcome back to This Little Wonderful Life. This is my part 2 video of sorting out this bookshelf, which I thought was going to be, foolishly thought was going to be a relatively quick task, and in reality is an enormous task. We are talking about over 40 years of books belonging to both me and my husband that needs sorting out, deciding what to do with, what we're keeping, and at the same time we've gone upstairs to our room and taken all of our books that aren't in our kind of to be read pile that we want to keep. So we've got rid of all the ones we don't want to keep, or rather they're in piles on the floor, and we've put in series all the books we do want to keep, and now it's time to get them on the shelves, but I've still got some more sorting to do. So I've launched straight into it, but welcome. My name is Ali and I make daily life vlogs and just vlogs generally about life here in the UK, trying to focus on the things that bring me joy and happiness, and yeah, and to try and help me deal with the anxieties of life and focus on the things that are good. I will link underneath the video I made before, the part 1, where we made a start on this and I talked about some of the books, and today we're going to go through and talk about some of the other books that I'll be sorting out and how I'm doing it. And we're going away the day after tomorrow for a few days to Devon, so this is not the time to be doing it, taking everything off the bookshelves, but you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. I might have said that in the last video, so we need to start making the mess in order to start getting it back together again. So more sorting to do today, and then I also mentioned in the last video that the shelves that I've had arranged here for about the last 10 years, I kind of did in colour order, not rainbow shelves, but more grouping by colour, which meant I split series up, and more recently that has started to really bother me. So my husband helped me, because a lot of the books are his that are the series, to put them all in the correct series. I also mentioned in the last video that I was going to try and order the log fire smelling candle from Muji, which I hadn't been able to get in years, and then I found that I could get them and they've arrived. So they're here. The little tins, they're the same tins, but the picture has changed. There used to be a little picture of a log fire, but now it just looks like that. I will link them underneath. I don't think they're available worldwide, but they're certainly available here in the UK. And they just smell like a room smells when it's got a log fire burning. I don't know how they do it. It's lovely. So I haven't burnt these yet. I'm just at the sniffing stage. I should say as well that I'm probably wearing the same outfit that you saw me wearing the last time. It's been about a week or so since I filmed the last episode, so I haven't just spent like the whole time wearing the same clothes. They have been washed and cleaned and dried. It's just, this is what I tend to wear around the house at the weekend. I've got just a pair of leggings, because comfy, and this is a jumper I really like. It's from Sugar Hill, Brighton, which is one of my favourite shops for jumpers. But this was actually my eldest daughter's, and she really stretched it. So it's nice and kind of baggy and stretchy to wear with leggings. And she was getting rid of it, so I just grabbed it for a sort of Saturday cleaning jumper. So that's why I'm probably wearing the same outfit you saw me in last time. Right, let's move over and have a chat about books. Before we head over to the bookshelf to get stuck in though, I just want to mention the wonderful serious readers. So I've got a bit of flyaway hair that's getting in my face, who are sponsoring today's video, and you can just see my serious light, which I've managed to position so it's just out of shot, but I'll move it. There you go. It's a demonstration of how easy it is to angle it as well. Yeah, so this is my serious light. Serious lights are all hand built right here in the UK at the factory in Aylesbury, and all of the serious lights range come with a 5-year warranty. They all use something called daylight or wavelength technology, which replicates as closely as technically possible the daylight spectrum, and I use this for hours. I use this pretty much every day, and I use it for quite a few hours into the evenings, mainly for when I'm working on my crochet and my cross stitch projects, when I'm sitting here or over on the other sofa whilst we're watching telly. The really great thing about it is I find the light is so concentrated to what I'm working on, it disturbs nobody else around me who might be sitting next to me. I usually have the beam on the the narrowest setting, but it's so easy to change the beam. You just twist this little bit here and you can go from a narrow beam to a wide beam really, really easily. Same with the brightness, there's just a little thing here and it's so easy to adjust the brightness. I never need it above the lowest setting, it is absolutely perfect. And Serious Lights are offering my viewers £150 off plus free delivery if you're in the UK. So the £150 off is worldwide and the free delivery is in the UK only. I've got a special link, which is my name, Ali, in capital letters, and I will link that underneath and in a pinned comment as well, and it will be on the screen. And yeah, I've just had a cat crawl onto my lap. Approved by cats. Right, let's go and get stuck into this. Okay, so basically what we're going to do today is, so we've got, we established last time that the top shelf is fantasy books like Terry Pratchett and things like that, and that's going to stay the same. Nothing's going to change up there. They're in series order, that's fine. And then I started pulling books off of this shelf just here and deciding what I was keeping and what I was getting rid of. Some of them are still kind of outstanding, trying to make decisions on. And then I've got two other shelves here that I really need to go through, so that's what we're going to do now. It's quite difficult to do this. My tripod won't go this high. So I'm going to just have to hold it. So I have made a start on bringing some series together. This is my husband's Wilbur Smith series here. So that's now together. I've got my 3 versions of A Christmas Carol. The Northern Lights I'm going to move to the top shelf, the fantasy shelf. And then I've got some other bits to go through here and chat to you about. So I'm going to pull some of these books off to talk about what's going to happen with them and what I thought of them. And then I'm going to start to organise and put books on here. I took a few shots as I was getting ready to film of the books that we've got in piles around the room. So we've got 3 big piles of books that are going to the charity shop, and 1 pile of books that I'm waiting for a decision on from my sister. 1 pile of books that I need to make a decision on whether I'm keeping them or not. Probably will be keeping them, because if I'm hovering over it, I don't want to regret it. I can come back to it in another year and make decisions then, but I think 3 big piles of books that we're getting rid of is a really good start, and there's definitely more on here that are going to be going out. Right, let's grab some and have a chat. Right. Oh, I should say as well, I'm filming this on a Saturday, and earlier on my eldest daughter Lilia, who I know you all know from the vlogs if you've been around here for some time, popped in. She's got a few days off next week from lectures, so her and her boyfriend are heading down to Brighton. So they stopped in to say hello, and I got her to do some book recommendations. So before we start this, I'm just going to slot that in here. It's only about a minute. So you can get some of her latest reading recommendations. She's a big romance reader. Do you want to say hello?
I will say hello.
I won't get you to take it.
Hello!
Hello everybody.
I'm back.
Only for half an hour.
Half an hour, yeah.
Lilia's off to Brighton.
I am.
Any book give us 2 book recommendations quickly.
That's not quickly.
Lights Out, because I'm reading that right now and it's really, really good and it's really funny. And it's bound to be Deep End because I'm going to enjoy that, and Imagine Me because I'm going to read that. I'm really excited. And then Watch Me's coming out in April. Oh, I'm so excited for that. That's the spin-off.
So the first one you said was
Lights Out by something Allen.
I'll put it on the screen.
It's really, really funny. 18 plus. And then Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I'm going to read that and I know it's going to be good. And then Imagine Me, which is the final book in the Shatter Me series.
By
Tahira Mafi. Or anything to do with the Shatter Me
And these
series.
are all romances, aren't they?
They are.
Because you're a romance girl. I
am. But Shatter Me's more like dystopian, romancy, Hunger Games type thing. I love it.
Thank you, Lily.
You're so welcome.
So that was nice, wasn't it? I really enjoyed, like, she's so ready. Like, I'll say, right, give us a book review. She just goes straight away without even questioning why I'm pointing a camera at her. She's so funny. So they're on their way to Brighton now as we're doing this. Okay, so I've pulled a load of books off of the second top shelf, and I'm just going to go through them. So Jasper Fforde. lost in a good book. I love Jasper Ford's writing. It's really surreal. It's often based around fictional characters and nursery rhyme characters, but he brings them to life in different ways. So he's got a series of books where the detective is investigating sort of nursery rhyme crimes, like who killed Humpty Dumpty, and, you know, investigating the problem with the bears having Goldilocks breaking into their house and so on. But this is based, this is the Thursday Next series. So Thursday Next, that's her name, is a detective. She's a literary detective. And I think this is the second book. I think the first one was The Air Affair in the Thursday Next series. I don't know, it doesn't say. It just says on the front, by the author of the international bestseller The Air Affair. And that's the same character. And it says, having barely caught her breath after the Air Affair, Thursday heads back into fiction to search for some answers. Along the way, she finds herself helping Miss Havisham close narrative loopholes in Great Expectations, struggling for a deeper understanding of the tale of the Flopsy Bunnies and learning the truth about Larry the Lamb. I loved this particular series because I came to the Air Affair not long after I had first... Sorry, there's a creature, some kind of bug crawling up my fireplace here. Don't know if you can see it crawling on my hand. All right, hang on. We just need to go and put this little thing out the window. The bug has been freed. It flew away out the window. I'm surprised it didn't fly off when it was on my hand. That was weird. It obviously trusted me. Yeah, so I read The Air Affair not long after first finishing the Jane Eyre, and I loved that book so much that I was just destitute to leave the characters behind. So in reading The Air Affair, I was able to go back with the characters and be with Mr. Rochester again. And this was the follow-up to it. I loved this. I don't know what I did with my copy of The Air Affair. So I think I might have to get that because I'd love to reread it, and I'll try and get the same version of this. If not, I might get both versions in a matching, you know, I want them matching on my bookshelf. So that's definitely staying because I love that series. I haven't read this in a long time. This is Artemis Fowl by Ian Colfer. Am I saying that right, Ian? I think that's right, isn't it? I'm not sure. Look at that cover. Oh, I think at the time I probably bought this was for the cover. So this was published in 2001, first published in 2001. Artemis Fowl is a brilliant criminal mastermind, but even Artemis doesn't know what he's taken on when he kidnaps a fairy. Captain Holly Short of the Leprechaun Unit. These aren't the fairies of bedtime stories. These fairies are armed and they're dangerous. Artemis thinks he's got them just where he wants them, but then they stop playing by the rules. Now, I remember I really enjoyed this, but I've never had any inclination really to read it again. I don't know. I'm going to put that in the maybe part. I may reread it. I may not. I'm not sure. I think my eldest, Lilia, read it and enjoyed it. Sandy Toksvik. I don't remember anything about this book other than the fact I know I kept it because it's yellow and I love it, but it's been on my shelves for so long that it's no longer yellow on the spine. It has turned white. I think the book itself is not yellow. Very disappointing underneath there. This was published in 1999. It is set in the 1960s, I think. Yeah, so in 1968, there are two basic types of creature in nature's kingdom. The first, like frogs and turtles, produce many offspring and simply hope that some will survive. The second, like elephants and people, produce one or two at a long interval and make great efforts to rear them. My mother belonged in a class of her own. She produced two at a short interval and made no effort to rear them whatsoever. Thus, Dorothy finds herself making her own way in Sassaspennett, New York. Feel free to correct me in the comments. In 1968, her English father, who never talks above a whisper owing to an early injury with a cricket ball, has tucked her and her mother away where their potential for embarrassing him can be limited. All the other children in town have gone to camp, so Dorothy must provide her own entertainment, which she does when she discovers a small faded zoo on the edge of town. I only read this once. I remember nothing about it. I am going to reread it and see if it deserves a long-term place on my shelf. Then I've got some classics here. So I've got Homer's The Odyssey, George Orwell's Coming Up for Air, and 2 Jane Austens, Northanger Abbey and Sense and Sensibility. Now I've got another Jane Austen that I spoke about last time, which is Pride and Prejudice. But they are all different editions. Are they the same height? Oh, they are the same height. I don't think I have ever read Northanger Abbey. Is it Northanger Abbey? Is that how you say it? I don't think I've ever read this one. So I will make the effort to do that. But all the others I've read, they are staying. Homer the Odyssey I've read about half of and then got beyond bored with it. I think it is a good thing to have on my shelves though. I'm not sure. Not sure. Put it in the maybe part. I don't know anything about George Orwell's Coming Up for Air. That's the cover. George Bowling, 45, mortgaged, married with children, is an insurance salesman with an expanding waistline, a new set of false teeth and a desperate desire to escape his dreary life. He fears modern times since in 1939 war is imminent, foreseeing food queues, soldiers, secret police and tyranny. So he decides to escape to the world of his childhood, to the village he remembers as a rural haven of peace and tranquility. But what will he find when he gets there? And then there's a quote here that says, 1984 is here in embryo, so is Animal Farm. Not many novels carry the seeds of 2 classics as well as being richly readable themselves. Now, I have read both Animal Farm and 1984. Would I say I enjoyed them? Probably not, but I'm really, really glad I read both of them. I feel, in a way, that maybe I need to add this and make it a hat trick. Is a hat trick when you get 3 things? I'll put that in the to be read pile. Oh, my neighbour's calling me. Right, sorry, Saturdays. This is why I hate Saturdays. They're busy and noisy and everything goes on at once. That was my neighbour. She's going to be looking after the chickens whilst we're away for a few days. So she was just calling to check a couple of things. I have got 2 copies of Catch-22, which I have never, ever read. I think Dan has. Now, this copy is awful. It's falling apart. Maybe I should put a bit of sellotape on. But I've got this because it was my dad's. My dad was not a huge reader, but he did read this quite a few times. So that is like part of my family history. It stays. This copy, I don't know why we've got. It might be Dan's. Oh, it is. To Dan, Merry Christmas, another year, another adventure from Ali. I bought it for him. So, oh look, this one's falling apart as well. Look at that. What is it about these books? I'll have to ask Dan then if this is one that he wishes to keep or not. So that will go in the over here to ask Dan about pile. Right, more classics that I need to make decisions about. So last time when we were doing this, I mentioned that I've got 2 beloved books here. One is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which I read to death. And the other one is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Bram Stoker's Dracula and Robert Louis Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Dr. Hyde in one book, which means effectively I've got 2 copies of Frankenstein. So do I keep 2 or not? They're just sitting there because I can't make decisions about it. Okay, and then we move on to Charles Dickens. I love Charles Dickens. I have read quite a few of, well, I've read my favourites of his quite a few times. I've already mentioned A Christmas Carol. I have got 3 copies of Great Expectations. One is the copy that I read. One is a bound copy that used to belong to a grandparent, which I've never read, but I love the copy and that's staying. And then I've got this copy, which is the Penguin English Library copy. So this is the Penguin English Library copy. And this is the copy I read, the Penguin Classics. So I think the English Library copy belonged to my mum. It was published. Oh, the pages feel lovely. They're all smooth. Yeah, this was published in 1965. So that would have been my mum or dad's. So what to do? We have got Great Expectations, my mum's copy, Great Expectations, my copy. Oh, I feel like I can't part. I feel like I'm just gonna have to keep both. And then I've got my extraordinarily well-read copy of The Old Curiosity Shop. Let me just see if I can show you the state of this spine. Look at that. I do love a well-read looking spine. I try not to do it, but I'm terrible at not doing it. So that's definitely staying. And then I've got my copies of Oliver Twist, also very well read. There's a different edition. This is the Wordsworth Classics. Or slightly shorter, just slightly, never mind. And then the Wordsworth Classics edition of A Tale of Two Cities, which I've never read. At least I don't think I've read it. I've certainly not read this copy. It's not a very long one. They're all staying. And then, same Penguin English Library edition, I've got George Eliot's Middlemarch. This would have been my mum's as well. Oh look, I've obviously started to read it at some point. 5th of March 2005. Ticket from Stratford, or to Stratford. Look at that. That was my bookmark. So yeah, I'm keeping that because I will at some point either read this or listen to it on audio. Now I've got these 4 books to mention to you. These have lived on my shelves for a long time and I need to make decisions. One is Snow Falling on Cedars by David Gutterson. This was published. I tell you the dates they were published because obviously we're dealing with books that I've had for years and years and years. And it does mean as well that sometimes old reads, when you come back to with modern eyes, at the, from 2025, can sometimes look a bit different from how you've learned about things. This was first published in 1995, and this paperback is the film tie-in edition from the year 2000. Now, I didn't know even that this was a film, despite having read the film cover edition. This was a courtroom drama. There is no blurb to tell us about it, so I'm going to have to go somewhere else to look it up. Here's from Amazon. In 1954, a fisherman is found dead in the nets of his boat and a local Japanese-American man is charged with his murder. In the course of his trial, it becomes clear that what is at stake is more than one man's guilt. For on San Pietro, which is like a fictional place, memories grow as thickly as cedar trees and the fields of ripe strawberries. Memories of a charmed love affair between a white boy and a Japanese girl. Memories of land desired, paid for and lost. Above all, San Pietro is haunted by the memory of what happened to its Japanese residents during World War II, when an entire community was sent into exile while its neighbours watched. I remember I really enjoyed the book, and I remember it was quite hard reading. And I remember very little else about it. I would like to reread this to see if it can earn a place on my shelf. I do not want to reread this next one, and I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. This is The Life of Pi. Looks like it could be another film tie-in cover, that, doesn't it? Was it ever a film? Normally it says now a motion picture or something, doesn't it? So this is The Life of Pi by Jan Martel. This is a very well-known book, but it's essentially about a family are travelling by sea. So after they're travelling by sea, and his father, I think, owned a zoo in India, and they were travelling with the contents of the zoo, all of the animals, somewhere. This is terrible because I haven't read it in years. That ship sinks. This isn't a spoiler, this is in the blurb. And all that remains is a lifeboat with the boy, the son of the family, who's 16 years old. He's called Pi. A hyena, a zebra with a broken leg, a female orangutan, and a 450-pound Royal Bengal tiger. I really enjoyed this book, and I think I see most people either love it or hate it. It's been a long time since I actually read it, but I remember the story really sucked me in, and there's a bit of a twist and turn as well, which, quite frankly, I might have been the only person on the planet, but I didn't see it coming, and it was just like blew my mind. It was just amazing. Do I want to keep it? Do I want to reread it? I just said I don't want to reread it, didn't I? This is why this is so difficult. There was, like this project of sorting out books, and this is only some of the books, one bookshelf, you know, and sorting out photographs, which I'm doing at the moment as well. It's such a slow process because you are confronted with your past self at every turn. You remember where you were when you read things, or how the stories made you feel, or the fact that it's moved with you, you know, from house to house, and it's been on your bookshelves, and you put it in a box and then taken it out and put it on your bookshelves. And you're constantly revisiting these things and then making decisions, and you don't want to live with regret. So it's really hard. Then these two books, okay. The Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri I adored this book. I read this as a read along years and years and years and years ago. Erica, I don't know if you're watching, but I'm pretty sure you were one of the people that we read this, The Interpreter of Maladies, and I'm pretty sure my friend Claire as well. And it is a collection of short stories. What does it say? Yeah, it's a collection of stories that tell the lives of Indians in exile, of people navigating between the strict traditions they've inherited and the baffling new world they must encounter every day. Whether set in Boston or Bengal, these sublimely understated stories, spiced with humour and subtle details, speak with eloquence to anyone who's ever felt the yearnings of exile or the emotional confusion of the outsider. And it says, Jhumpa Lahiri was born in London to Bengali parents and grew up in Rhode Island in the USA. Sorry if the angle's changed, I just had to change my battery. Yeah, so I would definitely reread this. I remember at the time I read the first story and I was really into it and I loved it. And it finished and I was really kind of upset that that story had finished. And then I hated the second story for not being the first story. And then quarter of the way into the second story, I was really into that one, and then that finished and I was devastated, and then I hated the next story for not being the second story, and so on. It was just lovely, and I would definitely reread this. I remember nothing much about the stories, other than I do think there might be at least one, maybe two of the stories that would affect me in a very different way now, because when I read this, I was not a mother, and I obviously am now, and I think some of the stories in here might have a different impact on me. Now that I'm a grown-up and a mother. And I think that's the thing about rereading, isn't it? The thing I've been thinking about recently, because I've never been a big rereader, is every time you come back to a book, you're coming back to it as a different person, because you're never the same person you were a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, 5 years ago, 30 years ago, because you're learning, reading, adjusting your views and, moving fluidly all the time. But yeah, I'm definitely keeping that. And another book that I've never been able to get rid of because it had a real impact on me at the time I read it, although it's many, many years ago now, and I don't remember very much about it, is Bel Canto by Anne Patchett. This is about a hostage situation. Oh, this is black on dark red. This is very hard to read. Still getting used to having to do this. Oh, that's better. Kidnappers storm an international gathering hosted by a poor Latin American country to promote foreign trade. Unfortunately, their intended target, the president, has stayed home to watch his favourite soap. The takeover settles into a siege, bringing together an unlikely assortment of hostages, including a beautiful American opera diva, a Japanese CEO who is her biggest fan, and his unassuming translator, Jen. Two couples, complete opposites, fall in love, and a horrific imprisonment is transformed into an unexpected heaven on earth. And I seem to remember as well that oh, that was fun. Sorry, I've never had to do that before. Makes me look like I know things. I seem to remember that the kidnappers, the people that go in and take the hostages, are young, or at least most of them are very, very young, and it's a very heartbreaking tale. I will definitely reread this. That is staying. Right, okay, we've talked quite a long time about all of these books, but I am going to keep going because this is a book. It will say in the title and the thumbnail that this is a video about talking about books. So hopefully if you're here, you like talking about books. And you'll go, yay, she's going to keep talking about books, rather than, oh my goodness me, when will it end? I need to move the camera down so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So ignore these are the ones we've just been chatting about. Here we've got 3 books. We have got the little book of Hygge, which I have read cover to cover and filled with little markers and tabs and things. I read this just before we went to Denmark in 2018. Loved this, by Mike Viking. And then I've got, by the same author, the little book of Luca, which is sort of continuing from the little book of Hygge. It's by the same author. Oh, hang on, I've read this as well. Oh, I didn't think I had read this. Look, it's tabbed to death. I might replace these tabs with slightly better ones, which aren't so papery. Oh, I thought I hadn't read that one, but I have. So they kind of go together. And then I've got one that I think Dan bought me, Lagom, The Swedish Art of Balanced Living. Now this is by Linnea Dunn. I like Mike Viking's writing, so this is a different author, but it's the same kind of thing. But I've never read this. So I need to read this to see if I want to keep it. Because pretty as it is, it can't stay on my shelves just because it's pretty. It needs to have earned its place, as these two have. Really like these. I am currently reading the Hygge Home by Mike Viking. Not enjoying it, but I'll talk about that when I do a book update. Then I've got things like the Hedgerow Handbook, the Green Sketching Handbook, the Book of Pebbles, A Wild Remedy. These are all kind of nature and crafty and lovely lifestyle books, which I adore. I'll show you the covers because they're beautiful. Oh, little pebble just fell there. This is one of my freestyle crochet covered pebbles, where I take a pebble and I just make up the crochet over it. So we've got Note to Self, The Secrets of Calm. This is the most adorable little book that teaches you techniques just to stay calm and work your way through anxiety. We had this a lot to work with Phoebe when she was younger, but I use it too. And that is by Rebecca Ballard. The Wild Remedy by Emma Mitchell. I really enjoyed this when I read it at the time. She writes a lot about depression and seasonal affective disorder in terms of how she deals with winter. And I have the opposite problem in that I find it very hard to deal with summer. It's a very beautiful celebration of the seasons. The Book of Pebbles by Christopher Stocks and Angie Lewin has got the most lovely kind of fabricy feeling cover. It is stunningly beautiful. I've dipped in and out of this a lot over the years. This was a birthday present one year for my friend Cherie from the Ollie and Bella podcast. Yeah, that's a beautiful book. Then the Green Sketching Handbook. This was a gift, I think. Was this a gift or was this one I bought? I think this was a gift. But I now, as a result of having this gift, follow Dr. Ali Foxham on Instagram. Yeah, I really, really love this. It's just a book all about why you should sketch, how to sketch, and how to sketch nature and notice the little things in nature and so on. I've been reading it slowly. There's my bookmark. And I will always be coming back to this. The Hedgerow Handbook. I think this was a gift for my friend Ali a while ago. Recipes, Remedies and Rituals. Beautiful. Love to have this on my shelf. I do dip into it to pick up things. It's got even good inspiration for sketching things in nature. Yeah, so that's those. And then right over here I've got a book that I read loads and loads with the kids. The illustrated the Usborne Illustrated Fairy Tales. Yeah, I'm going to keep this. One day we might have grandkids and I'll read it with them, but we read this over and over and over again. Beautiful book, really chunky little thing. Definitely keeping that. I think my sister got me this book. I think she found it in a charity shop or something. Was it my sister? Jen, was this you? Are you watching? I don't know if she's watching. It's called Knitting Illustrated. Hang on, that was upside down. There we go. Knitting Illustrated. It's a really cute little old-fashioned book. Easy to follow instructions for knitting practical garments to suit all members of the family. It's just like me and Phoebe on a Saturday night. Yeah. Oh, the teenage cardigan. I'd love to make something from this book one day. Yeah. And it just looks nice on my shelf. Everything else on here is staying, and everything else on the shelves now that are here are staying. So now it's just about the organising of it. So I better get started. Excuse my attire and my hair, I'm a bit dishevelled. It's quite a few days later after you last saw me faffing about with shelves. We've been and gone to Devon. This is a bit wonky, hang on. I think I just positioned it so you could see what's going on behind me. I have just spent about an hour and a half faffing with shelves. I'm nowhere near finished, but I've got it to a point where all the books are on the shelves. I've taken a few more off. I am getting rid of Making Winter by Emma Mitchell. I never look at it. It was a nice book, but I'm never going to look at it again. I'm getting rid of The Art of Henna Body Painting by Corinne Fabius Mendy. I no longer use this. I'm getting rid of the Mosaic book. I've created a little area down here of kind of reference books, the kids' old books, and like drawing and knitting and crochet books down here. There are more over there, but that's for another day. I didn't want to put anything in boxes and bury them away. If I've got books, they're going to be out, so that's it. And I decided I no longer need this. I've got an old programme, souvenir programme for the 2019 Strictly Come Dancing tour. We do not need that. I've got the book on the periodic table. I am going to double check if Phoebe wants this. We've had it for a long time. Lilia kind of used it, but not really. We don't need that. Someone else can use it. And then I've got a book of Outer Space and the Human Body. These are just a bit young for the girls now. So they are all going out. Everything else, pretty much, I have got in place. I've taken a lot of the ornaments and things off, so I'm going to have to make decisions about whether I want to put them back on there or whether I feel like it looks too cluttered. But what I'll do is I'll live with it, I'll faff about, I'll move things about a bit. This is all just stuff waiting to go back somewhere. So I've got it all nice and organised on the bottom shelf. So that's kids' books, knitting, crochet, reference, making books. And then that is our to be read pile that Dan and I are sharing. So for me, these are all the books that I want to read or reread that you saw earlier. And then the Kate Moss books were from a friend at work, and Dan's working his way through those. This still needs some organising, and there's gaps and spaces, which is good. Same here, there's a little bit of space to add here. I definitely need to faff about with this. I'm not happy with this side of the shelf. I'm very happy with this side with all of my Denmark books and France books and then classics and things. And then up here, very happy with this, all in series order. Still got some finessing to do, but it'll happen. I've got this lovely print here that I got from work. I really like that, but I don't know if I want this one or a black and white photo that I've got to kind of tie it in up here. I've moved the black and white picture of my mum up here, and that is because these are all in series up here, and behind here are the Stephen King books, and they're just so bright yellow. And so's that one. These are Dan's. So if I put that there, it just hides the bright yellow, makes it feel a bit more balanced, and then the top is the same. That's Harry Pratchett's. And then I've made a start over here. Sorry about the wobbly camera, let's go slowly. And I've been reordering some things over here as well. So this is Dan's record player. I've got reference books for like green sketching, walking and outdoorsy things here. I've got all of my almanacs here and space to add to them. My old camera, I worked out how to take it out of its case. So that is looking really lovely there on top of all of my Charles Dickens books. My Hans Christian Andersen that I was given for my birthday by my grandparents when I was about 8. Lovely copy of Robert Burns, a picture of the girls. More favourites and classics up here. Collecting books. Books I love to look at, and another lovely picture of the girls. And then I had a little drawer unit thing that was here that I've moved up there with my star and my dad's old chemistry scales. So yeah. So thank you so much for watching. The next video I think is going to be a little vlog about our adventure to Devon. So I will see you then. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your likes, subscribes and your lovely comments on the last video. And thank you for the Ko-fi donations as well. I've had a little flurry of Ko-fi donations and I always forget to say thank you for those. So a huge thank you if you've done that. It means so much, and it really helps to keep me making these videos, and your support for the channel is very much appreciated, so thank you. So until next time, happy bookshelf faffing if you're faffing about with your bookshelves, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye.